Hey, welcome to the Earth Sky Weekly Sun News. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are underneath that lucky old sun, which is rolling around up in the heavens today, just as it does every day. We can count on that, right? And unfortunately, see Alex Young, who is our staff heliophysicist, and he's got a day job. He works at the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, and he's at a meeting. His expertise was needed by the government this morning. So, as they say, he ain't here. But Debbie, we've got Debbie Bird, our fearless leader. Debbie Bird here at Earth Sky is going to explain to us all of the neat stuff that happened up on our local star in the last 7 days. So, Debbie, take her away.
Hey, Dave,
Hey,
how are you?
doing
Let me
well.
flip to the next slide here.
Sure.
So, this is just an
Ooh,
animation of that beautiful image that we showed at the beginning.
wow,
And
it's like a
isn't this
tornado.
isn't this super cool?
Yeah,
So, so my language may not be quite as technical as Alex's.
I
So,
would think not, but that's okay. As
yeah,
long as we
so
get the gist,
it's
we're
the
going to muddle
super
through
it's the
without our.
super cool thing on the sun. No, I know what this is called. It's called a prominence.
It is a
And
prominence.
I happen to know about this particular kind
Oh,
of event because Alex talked about it last week. And
right.
so you see prominences on the sun if you're looking at the sun through a telescope, or maybe you saw the total solar eclipse in April and you got to see the sun through a telescope then, and you
Oh,
may
yeah.
have seen these kind of streamer like things coming out from the sun, and those are the
Mhm.
prominences.
Oh,
So
okay.
here is one up close and personal. I believe this image is from the Solar Dynamics Observatory, and again, it happened on Monday. But see how that streamer is kind of twisting a little
Yeah,
bit?
it's a solar tornado.
It is. That's exactly what they call it, a solar
Oh,
tornado. That's right. And the reason that's happening is that a lot of what's going on in the sun is driven by the sun's magnetic fields. So,
ah,
magnetic fields, as Alex explained it last week, have the property of twisting like a rubber band. And so, what's happening here is that magnetic field is untwisting as this prominence leaves the sun.
oh, okay. So this thing is twisted up like a rope, and then as the plasma and ejecta come forth, the magnetic field allows them to unfurl, sort of like a flag
Well,
or
I mean,
something.
yes. And there's, the stuff that's leaving the sun is twisted up with magnetic fields. Like
Right,
there's
right.
magnetic field stuff going on in this thing that's moving outward from the sun. So
Crazy. That is crazy
magnetism in the
cool.
sun is a huge topic, and it's so
Yeah,
complicated that we need Alex here to explain it to us.
we do.
But we can know that this thing is called a solar tornado
Now
by heliophysicists.
let me ask you this. How big is that? That's
Oh,
bigger
it's
than the
got to
Earth.
be, I don't know for sure, but it's got to be, multiple hundreds of Earths
Wow, that's
in size.
enormous. And it
Yeah.
probably weighs a whole lot. I wouldn't venture on the mass estimate, but those things can be enormous, can't they? Just
It'd be hard to find a scale to weigh it on.
no place to hang your balance. Okay,
That's
what are we
right.
looking at here?
So
Is
sun
this
activity this week was up and down. We had like a quiet day, and then we had sort of a moderate day, and then we had another quiet day. But this was an interesting thing that happened this morning. So this image of sunspot region or active region AR
AR?
3839 is from today. And you can see that it's right on the edge or limb
Yeah,
of
right
the
on the limb.
sun. And this happens to be the incoming limb of the sun because, of course, the sun, like everything in space, is rotating. The sun
Mhm.
takes 25 days to rotate once on its axis. And here is good old AR 3839 coming into view. If it hadn't been for this sunspot region, we would have had a 24-hour period over the past day with no solar flares at
And
all.
that's not normal, is it? That
Well, it's
isn't
not
something we
normal
see.
for right now because we're at the peak. of the sunspot cycle. And so we've been doing a daily post at Earth Sky with Alex's help and the help of Raul Cortez and a bunch of other people who get together every morning and create an update, a daily update on the sun at earthsky.org, which is called Sun News, and you can find it there. We've been doing that for, I want to say we've been doing it for maybe 3 years or something. We started doing it with the idea that we would lead up into the peak of the sunspot cycle, which is
Oh,
what we've done. And I don't recall there being a 24-hour period with no flares, like not even the little bitty C flares. So
so
no flares
flares
except
come in classes. So there's C and M, and then the really gnarly ones are X's.
that's right. The C flares are the smaller flares. There's also flares that are even smaller than that, but let's don't even worry about
Right.
those.
No, no, no.
There's M flares, which are the moderately sized flares, and
Mhm.
then there are the X flares, which occasionally we do get an X flare. But if it hadn't been for this heroic sunspot region, AR 3839, we
Go
would have
AR
had this,
3839.
yay, we would have
Yay.
had this day with no flaring. But it came along and it produced 11 flares over
Oh,
that 24-hour period
oh, it's a
by
busy little
itself.
flare. It's a busy little spot. It's a busy
Right,
little active region.
it was. And two of those flares were M flares. So, as it turns out, sun activity over the past day turned out to be moderate anyway, because if there's M flares, then they classify the sun activity as moderate.
Wow.
And, but yay, AR
Yeah.
3839,
Snatching
our
victory from
hero.
the jaws of defeat. Now, you mentioned that we have sun news every day, and all you have to do is go and find it at earthsky.org. Well, you know what? You don't have to go and find it. You go to earthsky.org, you sign up for our morning newsletter, and the sun news will be in there most of the time. It's very rare we don't include sun news, so you can get it straight into your email. No problem. Don't even have to look for it. We'll bring it to you. It's worth it. Go sign up for our newsletter. Anyway,
Yeah,
Debbie, what else is going on? It's not Sol. That's not its official name. It's the Sun. What's going on the Sun?
that's true. The sun does not have an official name, contrary to what
Okay.
some people think. So, this is the last slide I'm going to show about the sun's activity today. This is the number of sunspot regions on the sun today. The Earth facing side of the sun has 9 active regions right now. So, even though there's not a lot of flaring that went on across the surface of the sun, we do have these 9 regions facing us. And who knows what will happen next. So that's one of
Something.
the cool things about following the sun is that it's always doing these surprising
Yeah.
things.
And if you're not signed up for the newsletter, you might miss the surprising next thing.
That's
You
right.
might miss it. Don't miss it. You don't want to get left out, right? Don't get
And
left
it
out.
and it's a star.
It is. It is a star. It is trillions and trillions of hot hydrogen molecule or atoms slamming into each other, fusing into helium, releasing photons and heat, and then it takes 10,000 years for a photon generated in the center of that mass to make it out, and then 8 minutes from there to us.
That's right.
10,000 years for a photon to propagate from point to point. It gets absorbed and re-emitted. There's some incredible physics going on in there. That is one of the most, and we just look at, oh, isn't that pretty? And then you can see it, it'd be kind of a drizzly day, and it just looks sad and wet. A sad and wet nuclear furnace.
That's right. But it
Oh,
but it but it but it is very pretty. And
it's
so
gorgeous.
so now I would like to move on and talk
Let's do
about
that,
two different things that are
please.
sun related that are coming up in the coming week because we're about to have a big week
We
sun
are.
wise.
We're looking forward to it.
I know.
Uh-uh.
Okay.
There's a hole in the sun.
There's a hole in the sun, but of course it's the moon.
Oh,
And it's the good old moon that we see at full moon, the near side of the moon facing us, and we see it in silhouette here because it's in front of the sun.
Oh,
And this is a cool image. This is not
yes.
anything that you would see from Earth. But
Oh,
I wanted to
what are we
show
looking
this
at then?
image. This is what's called an annular eclipse of the
Uh-huh.
sun, and this is a spacecraft image. This is from the Hinode spacecraft in, I believe, 2012, and the
Wow.
spacecraft saw the moon go directly in front of the sun, but at that time, the moon was not big enough in the spacecraft's sky to cover the sun completely. So at mid eclipse, you see not just that fiery corona, that crown of the sun, or that wavy. Oh, I'm sitting here pointing
Those
at
would
my
be the
screen.
filaments, the hair-like filaments that are on the outer edge of the sun, beyond the
Right.
sun's surface.
You don't see that wispy corona during the spacecraft is seeing it here, but if we were to see this from Earth, we would not see that.
No, you
But
need
we,
special
but
filters or an eclipse for this.
Yeah, but during an annular eclipse, you don't see the corona anyway. And the reason
No.
you don't see it is that an annular eclipse, so here's the deal with the annular eclipse. The annular eclipse, and sometimes people call this a ring eclipse, there's
Which
one
is what
coming up,
annulus means.
right. There's one coming up next week on October
Ah,
2nd.
yeah.
So
Woohoo. And we'll be here.
that is Wednesday, and Dave and I and some other people, I may not be
Mhm.
here, but Dave
I'll
will
be
be
here.
here. Dave will be here, and some other folks will be here.
I
And
will definitely be here.
yeah. And we will be watching
Yeah.
the annular eclipse with
Woohoo.
our friends from timeanddate.com who have
Hmm.
generously allowed us to show their live stream.
Maybe we'll
And
drag in John Goss from the Astronomical League and probably the voice of the night sky, Marcy Curran.
that's right. We'll
We'll
bring
drag them in as
Marcy.
well, probably.
We'll see who we can get. So
Yes.
it's like, and this will be fun. So we'll have a watch party of the October 2nd annular eclipse that's coming up next
Hmm.
week. But we
And that's
won't see it
BYOB,
look,
guys.
that's right. We won't see it look like this because this is like just too amazing because this picture was taken from a spacecraft.
Hmm.
But some people will see it look
Oh,
like this.
yeah.
So this is an annular eclipse, not from a spacecraft, but as seen from the surface of the Earth. This was seen by Alan Howell, a member of the Earth Sky community, who took this image in Albuquerque, New Mexico, on October 14th of 2023. And one cool thing about this
It's
image,
bumpy.
it's bumpy. Like you can see at about 8 o'clock, like right next to the NM for New Mexico, you can see that
Uh-huh.
little fuzzy stuff sticking out on the edge of the sun. You can see another one up there at about 2 o'clock. And those are prominences, just like the
Mm,
prominence that we looked at
right.
a little while ago that's shooting out from the side of the sun.
So
So
you say
that's
that
cool.
little fuzzy thing. Remember, folks, that thing is 1 million miles wide. Okay, edge
Yeah,
to edge,
right.
the sun is 1 million miles wide. That is not a little bump. That bump is is probably about the size of the Earth. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
And
but it's
and and
beautiful.
we have this black thing, which is the moon covering the sun. And it's not a total eclipse because the
No,
moon doesn't appear big enough in our sky to cover the sun completely. And what we have at the middle of the eclipse is this ring or annulus showing all around the edge of the moon. And that
that is.
ring is the
Oh,
surface of the sun.
that is the surface. It's so pretty and bumpy.
And it's so bright
Oh,
that
yes.
you cannot look at an eclipse like this with just your eye.
Oh,
A
please
total
don't.
eclipse, yes, you can look at mid
Yes.
eclipse with your
Only
eye.
during totality.
Yes,
Only during
but
for the briefest of moments. But
in in
protect your
in a
eyes,
total
guys.
eclipse, but in an annular eclipse,
That doesn't
no,
happen.
you
It's not
cannot
safe to
look.
look at this with the unaided eye.
You
You
can
must
never look at
wear
this with the unaided
protection.
eye,
You
right?
must wear protection. It can cause, if you look at it through an optical device, it will cause painless, instant burns on the retina of your eye that are irreversible. Please don't do that.
No, don't
Thank
do
you.
it.
All
And
right, that's the
and
end of my message.
this is a partial eclipse
Yes.
essentially because the sun is never completely covered. So that's the annular eclipse. It's coming up on October 2nd. We will be here live streaming. And
Yes, we
here's
will.
where this particular eclipse is visible. And you can see that orange wavy line there is the path of annularity. That's the path that you would have to be in order to see the annular eclipse. And as you can see, it's mostly going across the ocean.
Looks like
So
Tierra del Fuego will get a little bit of it,
a little bit cutting
and
across
some
South
fish.
America.
If you are a
That's
fish,
right.
this is the perfect annular eclipse for you. A porpoise, a whale, any kind of ocean-going animal.
That's right. And I'm not sure where time and date is going to be. I suspect they're going to be down there in the bottom part of South America to present their live stream of the eclipse, but we will be there with them
We will be there
virtually.
virtually. Right. We'll be here. And so will you, I hope. I hope
Yes,
you will
we'll be
be
here.
here. So, in order to do that, what you want to do is hit the like button. You always want to hit the like button, but the subscribe button, and you'll get notifications when our live streams are coming up. We will let you know, and we'll be here. And we got some good, exciting stuff coming up, don't we, Debbie?
Oh, we have live streams almost every day next week. And I I am kind of sad because
Oh,
of the incredible things that we have to talk about next week. And it's just amazing to me that there's so many things going on. Uh, although astronomy is exciting. I mean, let's
yeah.
face it. Like you and I are still here, right? I've been doing this for nearly 50 years.
Oh my.
And it's like it's because it's really exciting.
It really is exciting, isn't it?
It
I've been
really
doing this
is.
almost my entire life, and I just love it. And now, what do we got here? We have a comet, and a bright
Okay,
and brilliant one.
so
Oh, wait,
this is the third thing that I
this is
wanted
the
to talk
third
about
thing.
today.
You want to talk
Yes.
about? Oh, did we talk about the first two
The
sufficiently?
first thing we talked about was this week on the sun. The second
Okay,
thing we talked about was the October
that's
2nd annular
one.
eclipse that's coming up
That's
next week.
two.
But here's the third thing.
Third
There's a
thing.
comet near the sunrise
Ah,
now.
Chin
And
Shu Shan, Atlas
yes,
A3.
A3. Most people are calling it Comet A3.
Tsuchinshan-ATLAS is a mouthful.
It's
So
That's a
yeah.
mouthful. So most people are calling this Comet A3. This image was taken by Yuri Beletsky, who is a wonderful astrophotographer. He took this, he posted it yesterday on X, and he works, I believe he works as a night assistant, which is someone who helps the astronomers conduct
Oh,
their observations.
right.
I could be wrong about that. He may have gone to grad school and become a professional astronomer, but I
Let's hope.
believe he's a
We need
night
more.
assistant. And he took this from Las Campanas Observatory in northern Chile. So this
Chile.
is the view from the southern
Mm,
hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere view, as so often happens, is better than the
yep.
northern hemisphere
I'm
view.
thinking of Comet McNaught, the beautiful side. We got some of it, but we didn't get what they got south of the equator.
Yes. So, but this comet is going to be Comet A3,
Hmm.
uh, predicted to be the brightest comet of 2024. Might be the brightest comet we've had in several years.
But they're
Might
not
be a really
predictable.
beautiful comet. The comet reached its perihelion or closest point to the sun today.
Oh, right now.
Yeah, right
Okay.
now.
This
I
is
mean,
happening
today.
right now, folks. Once in a lifetime. It's happening
Right.
now. Don't miss it.
And when comets, I mean, and I forget how long this comet's orbit is, but I want to say it's tens of thousands of
Oh, yeah. It's a
years.
long term periodic, and I
It's
think
a
it's
long, it's
12,000
got a
year
long,
range, something like that. So the last time this thing was here, human beings were settling down in the Fertile Crescent, discovering agriculture, building Göbekli Tepe, the first model. So we've come a long way, and so is it. Don't miss it. It's back to check on us. We've come a
that's
whole
right.
long way. All of civilization, everything that you know about, everything that's happened that's important in your life has happened since this thing was here last.
That's right.
It
And
is.
so do not miss it. So
No.
it's not easy to see right now from the northern hemisphere, but there's going
Oh,
to be this amazing opportunity to see it. And this is my last slide for today.
oh,
So here is the comet on a couple of days from now, the morning of September 29th, September 30th, and October 1st. And
Wow.
as you may know, if you are an early riser like I am,
Mhm.
the moon has been in the morning sky. We've got a waning moon, a waning crescent moon right now.
We do.
And over the next uh, few days, I mean, you actually could use tomorrow morning's moon if you wanted to, the moon on the 28th too,
Hmm.
but it would just be a little bit higher there than the star Regulus. So you see that what on this chart is called the sickle. It looks like a backwards question mark, and
I
it's
do
got the
see that.
bright star Regulus marking the bottom of the question mark. And then tomorrow morning, the moon will be above Regulus, but by the morning of September 29th, Sunday morning, the moon will be below Regulus, and then you can start getting the comet into the picture as well. So the comet
Okay.
will be there below and to the right of the moon on the 29th and 30th. And then if you can see the moon on October 1st, because that's only one day from new moon is October 2nd because that's the day of the eclipse.
Right. Always pair
um,
those. Those always go together.
and you might be able to see the moon on October 1st. This is a really good time of year to see very old moons, as they call them, in the pre dawn sky.
Mhm.
But if you can see the moon on October 1st, you'll find the comet pretty much just to the right of it. You do need a really dark sky
You
to see
will. You will need a
this.
very dark sky to see that, to
So
catch
go
it
out
in
in
the
the
full moon.
country, look near the sunrise, but not too near the sunrise
No.
because you don't want the sky to have a lot of twilight in it.
Mm.
And the images I've seen of the comet this week that were from the northern hemisphere, they were in pretty brightly lit
I
twilight
imagine they must
skies.
be.
But the comet is going to be moving away from the sun because today is its perihelion.
Yes.
So
So this is as good as it's going to, this is as good as its tail's going to get. Right now, the tail, which is the result of the solar wind driving particles away from the core, creating a coma, which is the hair. It's a hair-like structure. So that hair-like structure forms around the core of the comet and it gets blown off. And there are actually two, at least two, sometimes three, depending on the conditions, tails coming off the comet. One follows its pathway, so it shows you where it's been. The other one follows the direction of the solar wind. And then if there's anything else going out there blowing things off of the comet's surface, you'll see that too. Now, here in the picture, you mentioned the sickle. The sickle is the head of Leo. So we're looking at a constellation on, in fact, that green line there, I believe, is the celestial equator. The
ecliptic. It's
ecliptic,
the
I'm sorry, the
ecliptic.
ecliptic, my
Right.
bad.
The
And
ecliptic
so
is the sun's path.
the
So
sun's
that's the
path,
path that the sun would take across the sky.
right,
If it were
or the
daytime,
moon,
the sun
or
would be following that path.
anything that's in the plane of the solar system, you're going to
Right.
find it on that line. And
That's right.
so, and so there's the zodiacal constellation of Leo, and the heart Regulus is the heart of the lion. And so, if you know what that is, that would also be a good way to track the comet when the moon has moved on. And this is
That's
this is
right.
going to be a really beautiful event. I suggest going out and tracking this one night to night because you're going to see these changes in the way that the solar system is moving. Remember, all of these are local objects with the exception of Leo. And you
That's
really
right.
get a sense of a you live in a three-dimensional solar system with rocks and planets and comets whizzing around you at tremendous speeds, and it's easy to forget that when you're stuck underneath the blue sky. So go out and do this every morning. If you've got it in you, if the spirit moves, go out and see something that will enrich you. You will genuinely feel enriched at the end of this.
And let me say one more thing about this
Please.
comet. It's going to move into the evening sky. And so that
Ah,
should happen after about the first week or so of October. You'll start to
okay.
see this comet shift into the evening sky. So
And
more
so,
people probably will see it in the evening
and this
because
is a
for
good
some reason people
opportunity.
don't like to get up before dawn.
I don't know
Hey,
what's wrong
I
with
don't know
them.
why.
Oh, it's a peaceful time. It's a peaceful time. Nobody to bother you. Anyway, this is a good opportunity if you have some field glasses, some binoculars to get them out and have a look. Remember to stay away from
Definitely.
the sun. Other than that, This is, we'll talk about magnitudes. And when you talk about a stellar magnitude, that's a point source. When you talk about the magnitude of a comet, that's spread out over the entire area of the comet. So if you are an observer and you're looking at magnitude ratings, remember that you're gonna need a dark sky, and you're gonna need patience, and you might have to look off to the side, avert your vision to get the peripheral rods involved so that you can see better. But
But we
this,
don't know
we
because
don't know.
comets are so unpredictable. And
They
it
really
could
are.
be that this comet will get bright enough to be easily
It
visible
could
with
be.
the eye.
It could
Like I
fill the
remember
entire
standing
sky.
there on my street, and I've lived in the same neighborhood for 30 years. I remember standing there on my street, and I don't remember which comet it was. I want to say it was Hale Bob.
I was going to say it's probably 96 and Hale Bopp, I would guess. Was
Right,
that
because I moved
96 or
here in the early
7?
90s.
It was
So
96 or 7 that Hale Bopp came through.
yeah, and I
Uh,
remember, and I could see it. And I mean, I live, near downtown, so it's like
it
I'm
was
in a
in this.
really lit up place, but I
That
could
was really
see that
something else.
comet from my sky. So that was, it can happen. And maybe
It,
that'll
yeah,
happen with this comet, Comet A3.
Comet
Yay.
A3, Tsuchinshan-ATLAS, Comet
That's right.
A3. And I
That's
believe it
right.
is 2023 A3, but better check me on that one. Go look it up. Get your information. You know where else? You know where you could find that if you really wanted to know? You could go to earthsky.org and you can read about it right there. And we have all the information, and we double checked it. So you're not just listening to me go blah 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 and using the wetware. We wrote it down so that we'll get it right. We
Oh,
pride ourselves on getting it right at Earth Sky, by the way.
we do. We do.
We
And
do
here's
very
my
much.
last word about this comet, and that is
Please.
we have received the most amazing images of this comet.
Oh,
So please come, and on our homepage, you will find, I think we're calling it the best images, and they are the best. They are the most beautiful images. So please come to earthsky.org and check them out.
and not just check them out. If you have one, we have the Earth Sky Community Photo Group. We love to share your images of nature, of the sky, anything that captures and fits within Earth and sky. Send it to us, and we'll share it with everybody. We'll celebrate your work because you guys are all doing some pretty important citizen science amateur recording work out there that helps everything. It's so helpful. I kind of petered out there, but you get the idea. Anyway, Debbie, are we ready for our next stream? What are we doing next? Next will be
Next is Crew 9. That's
Crew
tomorrow.
9. That's tomorrow.
On Monday, you're talking to Eric Berger.
Who
On
is the
Tuesday, I think I probably am talking to Michael Kuipers, who is with the Hera mission for planetary defense related to the
right?
DART impact
He's an
with
asteroid hunter.
he's an scientist with the European Space Agency, and
Right.
the Hera mission is going to launch the following week on October 7th. We wanted to talk. We had contacted him originally because we wanted to talk to him about the meteor shower that is going to occur on Earth from the DART impact with that
Oh, we
asteroid
made a
moon,
meteor shower.
the first ever human made meteor shower. And we will be talking with Michael Kuipers about that on October
Very cool.
21st. But next
Oh,
week,
okay.
we're talking with him on October 1st about the Hera mission. And
So
then
we'll
on
be
October
double
2nd,
dipping.
we're having a watch party for the annular uh, the
So
annular
the annual
eclipse,
solar
the
eclipse.
annular solar eclipse. And then on the next Friday, a week from today, we'll be back with the
Be
sun
right back
news.
here with the sun news. And
That's right.
so read up and go to Earth Sky, sign up for the newsletter, get your daily dose of sun news, and you'll be ready to see the pretty pictures and hear not me. I won't be here hopefully next time. Well, I don't know, maybe I'm enjoying this. This is fun. But
You'll
Debbie
be here
and
tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here Monday. I'm here all the time, folks, and I hope you are too. So sign up, hit the like, hit the subscribe, join us at Earth Sky, and we're going to wrap it up. That was fun, Debbie. I had a great time. Thanks for coming by.
Dave, thank you for sitting in for Alex today. Really
Hey,
appreciate it.
my pleasure. My pleasure. Always a pleasure. Folks, you guys go out and have a great day, okay? If you're not already doing it, do it now. See this?